What's going on, everyone? Trust the buzzy. If you're new to the channel, I make Charlotte Hornets content. So if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video, we're going to be reacting to different mock drafts ahead of the draft lottery. As you see here, we're going to start off with Tankathon just because it's the easiest site, probably one of my favorite sites, and they do not automatically send the lottery. We're not going to send the lottery. We're just going to react to what they have because that's just the premise of what we're going to do. And that's simply what the other mock drafts have done as well, keeping the original draft order without actually simming it. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to react to the different ones and tell you kind of who I picked, because actually after this, I'm going to record a video giving more detail on who I would pick and why at every single position. So stay tuned for that video. It's going to be kind of back-to-back videos. Hopefully I can get this video out Saturday and then the other video will come out early Sunday, but we will see. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. So the first one, like I said, Tankathon, one of my favorite sites. They have Zachary Reese. I still don't know how to say his name. I watched a lot of film of him, still don't know how to say his name. Going number 1 overall to the Detroit Pistons. He's a guy, it's kind of been up and down. I've seen him as low as 10. I've seen him as high as 1. And this isn't the first time I've seen him as high as 1. His archetype, if you're projecting what it's going to be like going forward, I think is really high. And it warrants the number 1 pick. Is it number 1 worthy? I don't really know. But we'll see where he currently stands. It just leaves a lot to be desired. But I see the vision. I see how he can grow to be an excellent NBA player. It's just right now, I wouldn't necessarily say raw, but it's just so uninspiring that it just is hard to kind of put it together. When you look at how tall he is, how he plays, his weight, all these things, and put his age, you put that all together compared to players in the past, it's like, oh, okay, a lot of those players did end up being, pretty solid NBA players, if not great NBA players. So that makes you not want to say he's bad, but also it doesn't necessarily make you want to say he's good either, because it's just really tough to judge. And that's the point of the draft. But it's nothing that pops off the page, pops off the video, but it's also something not to ignore either. He is a really talented player. In a draft like this where there's just not a really sure number 1, I can't be mad at it. Alexander Sarr, we're not going to really go too much into him just because I feel like I've talked too much about Zachary, and this is more about the Hornets. Alexander Sarr, he's a guy I would really want for the Hornets. I really like what he provides defensively, and that's just something we need. He could be a little better shooter, but I do like that he is a threat out there. We saw last night with the Dallas Mavericks and the Oklahoma City Thunder, Jalen Williams, not J-Dub or J-Will. J-Dub. No, not J-Dub, J-Will. J-Will's the one from Arkansas. J-Dub's the one from Santa Clara. Got to get it right. J-Will, he's an okay three-point shooter. He doesn't take a lot, but the Mavericks had to guard him because he was hitting. They tried not to guard him, but he was hitting. Unlike other players on their team, like Josh Giddey, they were kind of leaving him open, and then most teams have been doing it, and they just don't trust his shot. Jay Will, you can say what you want, but you don't want to leave him open because he can be dangerous. He can light it up at times. Alexander Sarr reminds me kind of that mode when it comes to his three-point shooting. You don't necessarily want to leave him open too many times because I think his shot will hit. Will he be cat from the three-point line? No, but I do feel like he is a guy you don't want to leave open, and we don't have any spacing like that from our bigs. Davis Bertans being our tallest player that can shoot, considering his contract, considering what else his skill level is, it's like, do you really want to run with that? It just depends on really the direction of Charlotte Hornets. But replacing Davis Bertans with Alexander Sarr, perfectly okay. Now we're to the Hornets pick. This is a pick you're going to see a lot. This is a pick I've seen a lot. This is a pick I think that a couple of mock drafts here you'll see. Nikola Topic. I really like his game. I really like his ability to kind of bob and weave and go through the defense. I think he's able to read a defense well. I think he's able to kind of pass his guys open. We know that's something I talk a lot about on this channel. It's one thing to find an open guy, but to be able to pass your guys open, I think that's another skill that is incredibly underrated, and I think he has it. He does a really good job of just kind of really running the offense. He's a really good floor general. I like the way that he's able to get to the basket. That's another thing that he does extremely well. His shooting is so. We can kind of look at the stats here since this is a guy we're actually looking into. His shooting is so. As you see, he's only shooting 31% from three, but he's shooting 50% from the field. Like I said, he is really good at finishing at the rim. And his playmaking ability is something that I really enjoy. He has all the tools to be a defensive stopper, not necessarily a stopper, but a good defensive perimeter player. There was a picture of him standing to Nikola Jovic from the Miami Heat, who's listed at like 6'9", 6'10", and Nikola Topic wasn't too far off. He's like same way where they thought LaMelo was one height, and in reality, he might be a little taller. That's what I feel from Nikola Topic. And in this pick, I think Nikola Topic is very worthy of the third overall pick. I think he's very worthy of being picked by the Charlotte Hornets, just because I know we have LaMelo, but LaMelo has injury issues, and I'll say this: there are some people who are picking Nikola Topic because they want to replace LaMelo. That's not what I'm doing here. I am okay with this. I see it as a backup quarterback in the NFL. If you're a really good team, you can't afford, depending on how your team is structured, of course, and it's a little different because NFL has so many moving parts, but just bear with me here. You can't afford to be that much of a drop off between your starter and your backup. You just can't afford it. Now, like, you got to think about it clearly here, though. Your backup can't be too good, or else he wouldn't be a backup. He has to be, good enough to kind of keep the team afloat, but quote unquote bad enough to where he's not running off being a starter elsewhere. Now, is this a little different here because, rookie contracts and all that, and Nikola Topic won't be able to go anywhere anytime soon. But I think that if the Hornets are serious about going forward and trying to be a good team, until LaMelo proves otherwise that he can stay on the floor, because talent is not an issue. I think I'm not saying this is the right, because this wouldn't be my pick, but I'm defending the pick. I wouldn't be mad on draft night because this guy is extremely, extremely talented. He does not have he's not flashy like LaMelo was, but a lot of the same things we love about LaMelo, you can love about Nikola. And to be a little different, I think they can play well with each other also. Because while both are obviously ball dominant, both are obviously more point guards, LaMelo's one of the best off-ball shooters in basketball. Check the stats, when healthy, of course. And I think he thrives off that. I'm not saying put LaMelo off ball. I'm not saying that he has to be the shooting guard now. But I am saying there are ways that have these two both play. Also, Nikola Topic can also play off ball. Now, he is not the shooter that LaMelo is at all. Wohowever, he's a smart player. He knows when to cut. He knows when to kind of get himself open. He knows kind of to make the extra pass. Would they be two starters together? I don't think so. I think at some point there is going to be a time where you have to make a decision. But like I said, if the Charlotte Hornets are eager to be good, maybe not next year, but the year after, you have to have LaMelo insurance. If you do not draft Nikola Topic, I expect there to be some backup guard that you get that's high quality. Because next year, LaMelo's coming off an injury off a second season. 2 years in a row, he's been injured and missed a lot of the season. You need someone to kind of close that gap because we don't know how long it's going to take LaMelo to be healthy. We don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea if this is something that's going to keep happening. I have no idea if it's just going to take him a long time to get back. I just simply have no idea. It would be irresponsible to have a guard at this level and not pick him when you know your star guard has issues. Now, the only thing I will say is that you've paid LaMelo. This is obviously LaMelo's team. He is the star. Would it be better to just get something to kind of maximize that? I agree. But I think you have to be careful with it. Because you do have Micic, you do have Trey Mann. Trey Mann is not really a lead guard to me. He's a guy that can kind of play lead guard when you need him to, but he's not a lead guard. Micic, I like him. He's 30. Will we be able to maximize his talent in time? I don't know. After this year, he only has 2 years left. I just don't know. That's why I like the Topic pick, but I have a guy that I kind of prefer that fits the now and can fit the future if need be. But Nikola Topic, I wouldn't be mad at it. You're going to have to, if you're a fan of the team, you're going to have to differentiate. And hopefully I'm not talking too long as I'm looking at my thing. I don't know how long I've been recording. I think I've been 10 minutes on this one. But you're going to have to differentiate when you're on social media the people who want Topic as a good, solid backup and the people who want Topic to replace LaMelo Ball. Because there's people who are in the middle. You just have to pay attention, because I know that people are going to say, oh, well, drafting Topic is going to replace LaMelo. I'm not in that camp. All I am saying is that I don't know enough about LaMelo Ball and his injury to trust if he's going to be healthy. And right now, there's a drop off between LaMelo and Micic. There will be a drop off between LaMelo and Nikola. I'm not saying there isn't. However, Nikola has a really, really high upside. And so if LaMelo can never get to where we need him to be, I think Nikola can fill that gap. And you really wouldn't have to change too much around the team because they both play very similar, except, like I said, I think Nikola attacks the basket a little more. He's very crafty. LaMelo has added that to his game. Nikola already has it. I think they're kind of like in reverse. LaMelo has always been pretty solid 3-point shooter, and now he's becoming an even better 3-point shooter, but just needed to work around the rim. Nikola has the work around the rim. He just needs to be able to take his game outside. Now, there's stretches where he shoots very well, but I think it just needs to be more. Free throw percentage, as people like to look at as an indicator of whether he can shoot, I'm not too high on that, but if you are, he shoots 88% from the field, and his shot doesn't look bad. It just doesn't go in. I just would expect that to go in a little more, but we'll see as time goes. LaMelo shot poorly before he got into the NBA, so I don't know. But let's move on because I've been talking too long. As you see here, Kevin O'Connor, a guy that I like his opinions. I think sometimes it goes off a little in the deep end, but I do like his opinions, and he also has us picking Nikola Topic. We're going to read what he says because if I'm not mistaken, he is that guy that is saying that Topic, you just don't know about LaMelo, so let's go ahead and get this guy now. It says LaMelo Ball hasn't exactly proved to be reliable, which is true. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not. I feel like I have to always say this because people are going to think I'm against LaMelo, which is crazy. But he is not. He has proven that he is not. It doesn't help that the team's not good, so it's really hard to indicate whether or not his injury is more so, is he injured or the team wasn't going anywhere? We ain't going to rush you out there. I don't really know the difference. It's hard to truly tell. But it says LaMelo Ball isn't exactly proved to be reliable, but Brandon Miller is looking like the real deal. Because of his playmaking skills, Topic would be viewed as LaMelo insurance, which I 100% agree with that, though he could also play with him if Topic jumpers improves. So the same way I said LaMelo could play off Topic, Topic does have to do, Nikola has to do his part, or Topic. I think we'll just say Nikola. Nikola has to do his part in being able to shoot as well, because it doesn't work if LaMelo's the only one playing off ball when he has such an amazing skill set in playmaking as well. So Nikola's going to have to do his part and improve to be a jump and improve his jump shot. He just has to, or it's not going to work. So as much as we're saying LaMelo needs to be healthy and he needs to be on the court, if they're going to go this route and draft him, Nikola has to do his part and be able to shoot. Because if LaMelo is healthy and Nikola still can't shoot, you have a problem on your hands. You have a problem on your hands. Now, do I think it might be easy to trade him because he's still very good? Yeah, I think so. It would just be much better if he can shoot, however, and play a little better defense, even though he's built to be able to play very good defense. Crafty shot creator who jitterbugs around the floor to generate buckets, which I typically said that. And sensational scorer in the paint with a deep bag of touch finishes at the rim using either hand from unusual angles. Slippery driver who uses subtle pace changes, head fakes, clean footwork to get to the teeth of the defense. If he needs to put his shoulder into bigger opponents to draw contact, he can do that too. Very, very similar to Vasily and Micic, which obviously it's the European basketball. I think that's just their mold. He's Micic times 10, I would put. Younger, does a lot of the same moves, just as crafty. Maybe I'll do like a breakdown once we're after the draft lottery to really talk about it. But yeah, he's a very crafty guy, and I really love his game. And then we'll just skip down to the minuses. Stiff Stiff's jump shooter defenders sag off him to give him space to launch when he's spotting up or isolated. He's reluctant to shoot unless he is open, in part due to his low release, uptight ball handler, and inconsistent defender with intensity that comes and goes. With a lean frame, he may never be more than average, even if his effort improves, but he must improve enough to not be a liability. And I agree with that. Like I said, he has the size. If he gains a little weight, I think he can do it. His effort does come and go. I really like that point. But as like I said, as much as we're on LaMelo about these things, about really just getting healthy, I think, like I said, skill's not an issue. We need Nikola to kind of hold his end of the deal if we do decide to draft him. Next, I haven't seen this one yet. So this is by Jonathan Wasserman. I've been up and down about his projections, but let's go into it. They have Alexander Sarr going to Detroit Pistons, which fits because I think they've been looking for a forward, and he's very much that can be that guy, like a power forward that can stretch the floor. They have Rob Dillingham going second. So this is just really, really quick. I really like Rob Dillingham. This archetype just has not worked in the NBA too often. It's finally coming around from Malik Monk, even though I don't think Malik Monk was ever like bad. It's becoming better. But would you go back to that draft and pick him too? I don't know. However, to that point, Rob Dillingham's a much better playmaker than those guys. So it could work out because he does have that extra layer of him that, like, I almost said Jamal Murray that for some reason. I was thinking Jamal Crawford, but I really want to say Lou Will, Malik Monk, those type, Monta Ellis, even though he, I think, was a decent playmaker. It's just he has that extra layer to them that they don't have, an extra shiftiness. I would like to see how it turns out, but I am just a little weary about it. And then also for the Hornets, particularly, that archetype just has not worked. With James Bouknight, Malik Monk, we're kind of seeing it with NSJ. I think he's doing pretty well. And he's also more of an off-ball guy. Like, he's really good at just getting open, cutting, and all that. But we're seeing that. Will it work? Will it not work? I don't know. First year, I really like NSJ, but I just don't think the Hornets have a good track record of getting these kind of guys. Ron Holland. So this is good. We get to talk about this. With Ron Holland, I really like what he's able to do. He's a guy that I think he plays pretty good defense, but his effort does come and go. I do believe that he needs to work on his shooting. G League Ignite, I'm glad that it's over just because so much talent on one team. It's really hard to evaluate and see who's who and who really does what without overshadowing other prospects of guys who could be really good. But Ron Holland, like I said, he needs to work on his shooting, but he's excellent. I mean, he has just a motor like no other when it comes to, like, once he's engaged, he has a motor like no other. He can run up and down the court at will. And he's really good at getting to the basket. He's really good at taking on contact. He does have like this step back that he does that is somewhat efficient. I wouldn't say efficient, but it looks good. And you would hope that eventually it will lead to it becoming more efficient. He has the tools. He has the size. He's very, very young, very raw. But overall, I really like the pick. 3's a little high for me. And also, I just want to know what we're doing with Miles Bridges, because Ron Holland's a guy. He's not going to play where Miles Bridges plays, but he's on the same NBA path as Miles Bridges, where it's going to come out. He's just going to seem like some athletic guy. And then I do see him kind of going the Miles Bridges route and then kind of do the same things. Do you want that on the team? I don't really think so, but we'll see how it goes. The Ron Holland's one who I would draft, but it really depended on what we do, what our plans are with Miles Bridges. Even if we resign him, I still wouldn't be against getting Ron Holland. It's just a matter of, do we resign him to this 4-year deal, and is he staying all 4 years? Because if so, there's no point in drafting Ron Holland. If you're re-signing Miles Bridges but are open to trade him, if a good trade comes along, then maybe, because then once Ron Holland is good, that'll open it up for him. Or if Ron Holland just go, because he did deal with an injury this year, if he just exceeds expectations, do you feel pressure to trade Miles Bridges to let this guy shine? Those are the kind of decisions you're going to have to make. If they're willing to cross that bridge once they get there, then I'm pretty okay with drafting Ron Holland. It's just, if you're looking to sign Miles Bridges, he's the guy. He's not going anywhere for years to come. I think you should steer away from Ron Holland. Get Topic and some other guys as well. Maybe we should just really fast read Cam Whitmore. I really agree with that, and I was huge on Cam Whitmore last year. I think Cam Whitmore was a bigger body. I think he's a little more aggressive about putting his body on people and not afraid of contact. Ron Holland's not afraid of contact, but the way Cam Whitmore is just how aggressive he is, and like I said, he's a much bigger player. I think he was 225. Cam Whitmore was so. A lot more aggressive, a lot more body to go around, so it looked a little different on screen. But Ron Holland has very much of some of the same tendencies. Despite Ron Holland's stock having dipped since being projected number one overall pick early in the season, he still averaged 19.5 points in the G League at 18 years old. He made some encouraging adjustments throughout the season, particularly with his ability to play at different speeds rather than just fast. I completely agree with that. If you watched the first season, the first like half of G League highlights for him, he was just running up and down the court. Later in the season, he did become he was able to just control himself a little bit more, make better reads, make better decisions, which is something you like to see, especially such a young age playing grown men. At worst, he should be able to inject his team with transition offense, which that's another thing. If we're still looking to run, Ron Holland would be a good pick for that. Rim pressure and easy baskets, but given his age and the flashes, there is still plenty of untapped self-creation, passing, and shot making to bet on. I 100% agree with that. That's why I said if you're trying to keep Miles Bridges and he is the guy, he's not going anywhere, just move on, get somebody else like Zachary or Topic, who hasn't been picked here, or Stephon Castle, who's someone I really like. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Next, we have CBS with Gary Parrish. And as this video is running real long, it will be okay. I haven't seen this one. I just pulled up the mock draft and I'm glad. Well, Reach Ever going 2 is crazy. I really like his game, but 2 is high. 2 is really high. Yeah, this is my guy. This is my guy. Will I sit here and say he's the best guy in the draft? No. So that's why, like, at different picks, I would pick a different person. But if we're in that 3, 4, 5, maybe even, this is my guy. And there's a few different reasons for that. His shot, terrible. 26.7%. We need someone that can shoot. I don't want to run into a situation where we're getting someone that can't shoot. So if you're completely against him shooting, I'm more than happy. Like I completely understand. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that just ignore it, because it's hard to ignore someone shooting 27% from 3. He did get better as the season went on, but still, that's a very low percentage, especially from a guard. But what I do like about him is his ability to take on contact, his ability to run the floor, his ability to play make, his ability to be a floor general, and his defensive mentality. For me, he replaces Cody Martin. Cody Martin is someone who we've been trying to kind of have like as a 2 guard, but he can play point guard. But we really need him as a 2 guard to play defense, shoot when he's open, play make for others, be able to create a little bit for himself. That's kind of what we had for Cody Martin. Cody Martin has not been healthy in like 2 years. Cody Martin, at times, as soon as he was getting better, he got hurt. Cody Martin is also someone who, very similar to his brother, actually, they are as good as the people around them. So I think they play very, very well off the talent around them. But if they don't have any talent around them, they look like one of the worst players you can look at. More so Cody than Caleb, but you get the gist. I think Stephon Castle can really take that role. Everything we did with Cody Martin this year, Stephon Castle can do, and I think he's better at it. I think he projects to be a better defender. I think he projects to be a better point guard if you need him to be. Which that's kind of what I referenced earlier with Nikola, is that it's reliant on him shooting because he's so ball dominant. His shooting has to get better for him to work with LaMelo. Not saying that Stephon Castle doesn't need to work on shooting, but his shooting it could be as terrible as it is now, and he can still play next to LaMelo Ball. And if LaMelo, for some reason, is just never able to get back to 100%, he can also play point guard and be just a leading guard. If you look at Cody Martin's numbers, he started off, he could not shoot, and then he had a really good shooting year, and then this year it kind of dwindled down a little bit more, which it's hard to say. I have my certain feelings about Cody Martin, but also the way the season went, it's hard to really judge anybody. But But I really like Stephon Castle. I really like he has the defensive winning mentality. That's kind of the biggest thing I like about him is that he's going to give us that defensive intensity because you have LaMelo who he buys into defense, but is he really locking in on defense? No. Do I really need him to lock in on defense when he's the offense? Not really. So it's fine. Brandon Miller, I do think is an excellent defender. He has all the tools. He's shown that he is up to the challenge at times this season, especially really early in the season. We saw him guarding the other team's best player. But with his offense being as good as it is, I think you might want to kind of shift him to like the second best player. Miles Bridges, I do feel like should be a lot better locked in defender. He said it himself. So it's just projecting where that will be. Do I want to trust his projection? I don't know. I think he's a really, really good, maybe really, really good too far, but I think he's a good on-ball defender. His off-ball is just lacks because he's not paying attention. Stephon Castle fixes all of that. Stephon Castle fixes all of that on the perimeter because, like I said, you have Miles Bridges, who I want to hope on a winning team or even a good team. His defense, his on-ball defense, but off-ball defense, particularly is a lot better. Then you have Brandon Miller, who I think is pretty good. He made rookie mistakes, but I don't think he made any like effort mistakes on defense. Then you have Stephon Castle, who lives for just causing ruckus on the defensive end. I think we're good. I'm not saying that that's, run to the playoffs with that, run to the finals with that, but I think that puts us in a really good position. I'll talk more about Castle later, but with his frame, I just really, really like his fit next to LaMelo Ball, but he has to improve the shooting. But I do like that whatever timeline the Hornets want to go, Stephon Castle can do that. He can provide, and he can be your guy. Castle projects as a combo guard at the next level with nice positional size and all the intangibles you could want. At UConn, he was comfortable just fitting in and playing a role while impacting, winning, despite arguably being the Huskies' best prospect. The only concern is an unreliable jumper that led Castle to shooting just 26.7% from three-point range this season. But everything else is so intriguing that the idea of him playing between LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller should excite Charlotte Hornets fans. That's exactly how I feel. Exactly how I feel. That is my guy. However, I'm not going to argue with anybody who'd rather have someone else because honestly, there's a few guys who I wouldn't mind having. To me, he's just the best fit. He's just the best fit for us right now. All right, last one because this video is getting really long. And this is from, what is this from? Oh, SI. So is this Sports Illustrated? I always get it wrong. Yeah, Sports Illustrated. And this is just a lot different, but still. Detroit Pistons selecting Alexander Sarr, Washington Wizards selecting Ron Holland, which wouldn't be surprising, and the Charlotte Hornets selecting Zachary Riesch. I'm going to learn how to say it, but we'll just say Zachary. So we can talk. I actually didn't expect, maybe I should have looked at it because I talked a lot about him here, but didn't talk about him, as obviously for us. He kind of fits in that two-guard role as well, or you could put Brandon Miller there. Doesn't really matter. They share similar physicalities. You would want Zachary to get a little stronger. You would want him to be a little more aggressive, but I think he has a very fluid game. I like his three-point shot was amazing. He did have a stretch where he shot extremely poorly, but recently he jumped back up and kind of shooting the way you would want him to shoot. Like I said, his tape to me, it doesn't just jump off the screen, but he's not doing anything wrong. And that's like once you get into this part of just dissecting the draft, and it really gets worse like right before draft day, you start decking guys for stuff that you really shouldn't deck them for. Just because he doesn't jump off the screen doesn't mean he's a good player. So I can admit right now, as thinking about what I said earlier, maybe I was a little too harsh on him because he's not doing anything wrong. It's just nothing to wow you. We do have players that wow you. We have Brandon Miller. We have LaMelo Ball. Mark Williams, hopefully at center. He's not a wow factor, but he's a winning player. Can be a winning player. He does. There's some obviously things he needs to work on. Health is one of them. But Zachary, like I said, doesn't jump off the screen, but he's not doing anything wrong. He's making good reads. He's a very fluid player. His shot looks good. And for a long time, he was hitting it at a very, very high clip. Can you really ignore that? Not really. So he's a guy that I've slowly become more and more a fan of, because before I wasn't against him. I was like, I don't see it. I see a good player. I don't see a great player. But comparing it to the draft, and I think that's the biggest part that I need to work on in my analysis, is comparing it to the rest of the draft. You have to take what you can get. Like I say that in saying Just because he's not as good as other guys in the past have been as prospects, or even guys who I see in the 2025 class as prospects, doesn't make him bad. You have to compare him to who he's being drafted with, because he can't get drafted last year or he can't get drafted next year. He's getting drafted this year. And you have to compare him to the guys who are in his class. In his class, he's one of the better players, top 5 players. He has the defensive intangibles that you would want. And I think he's a very, very solid player. Like I keep saying smooth, but to me, he's very, very smooth. And I really like his shot. That's something we need. The reason I'm still kind of iffy about him is I don't know where the Charlotte Hornets are going to go as far as their identity on offense and defense. I just don't know. And he's a guy who I think can fit in anywhere, but there are particular sets and particular team compositions that I think he would really excel in. And our current one, I don't think is one. But our current one's not going to be our current one for long. But however, I don't know where Charles Lee is going to go. So that is one where if the Hornets pick him, I'm not going to be mad because, like I said, compared to everybody else in here, he's a top 5 player. And I'm going to trust that they trust Charles Lee to maximize him, because he's a guy who you maximize him, he could be the number 1 player in this draft class easily. But if you kind of let him just kind of go to the wayside and just tell him to keep doing the things he's already good at, he's going to be a good player. Will he be impactful? I don't know. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for watching this long-ass video. I'm sorry. But thank you so much for watching this video. I'll cut this up and have this out to you Saturday, and then we'll do a more in-depth talk Sunday, hopefully, when I release that video. But, yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.